Hi, it's Simon here again. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you about a new initiative that I'm undertaking, and that's to set up a new website called CST Song of the Day. So providing song recommendations for enjoyment and cognitive stimulation. So I'll give you the web address in a moment. But first of all, I wanted to tell you about the background to this idea. As you may know, I've had a website providing cognitive stimulation activities for some time now, probably about 5 years actually, and that's done really well. And it provides session outlines for people with dementia, groups of people with dementia, that maybe last about an hour, hour and a half at tops. And then, as you know, I've tried to recreate some of those sessions for YouTube as videos, aimed particularly at people who are living at home without access to an ongoing CST group. And that's taken off really well, and I'm really pleased about that. Thank you for your support. But the idea of the CST Song of the Day is to provide ideas for shorter form CST activities and sessions, maybe lasting 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, and also to be used sometimes with individuals, maybe in their bedroom if they're in a care home, for instance. So I'll leave it there for now, and then I'll carry on explaining where the idea comes from and how it might work, and I'll come back later. Cheers. Before we move on, here's the web address for my CST activities blog. It's www.simondementia.co.uk. And the ethos for my channel is boosting brain power together and having good times. And here's what my sort of blog looks like. There are weekly activities linked usually to current events. So you can see I've had recent blogs for Chinese New Year, for Winter Olympics. I also provide a calendar of events for each month for CST facilitators to use in planning their activities. So there's a lot there. I think I've got over 500 outline CST activity outlines now. But here's a bit more detail about my idea for CST Song of the Day. Daily song recommendations for enjoyment and cognitive stimulation. So cognitive stimulation therapy is recommended by the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence for people with mild to moderate dementia. It's an approach which uses multimedia resources to stimulate cognition, which is memory and thinking, and promotes socialization and well-being. And we found that musical memory is often remarkably preserved in people with dementia, even in advanced stages, because musical, emotional, and procedural memories are stored across broad brain regions, unlike the specific areas damaged early by Alzheimer's. So familiar music can trigger deep biographical recall, reduce agitation, and improve mood by tapping into emotional systems that remain intact. And I've recently produced a short video about the power of personalised music in dementia care, if you wanted to take a look at that. And it highly recommends the use of MP3 players to download favourite music to improve quality of life for people with dementia, especially if they're in care settings. So why is it that musical memory lasts? Music, especially rhythm and familiar songs, engage procedural memory, which is often spared compared to episodic memory. Music activates the motor cortex and the anterior cingulate gyrus and emotional centers, which are typically the last areas of the brain to degenerate. Songs often connect to intense early life memories, providing a bridge to a person's sense of self and identity. Listening to or singing along with familiar music can reduce agitation, anxiety, and depression. Music can also help non-verbal individuals express emotions through smile or movement, which boosts their engagement with caregivers. And it can briefly improve focus, verbal fluency, and memory recall. And in the personalised music video for dementia that I made, it showed the story of Henry and how he responded to an MP3 player full of his favourite songs. He came to life. So implementing musical therapy, create a playlist of meaningful music from a person's younger years is highly effective. Active participation through singing or dancing or playing instruments provides deeper engagement. And you can also use music through daily routines, which can help calm people and engage them in activities such as mealtimes. So here is what my new blog looks like. I'm putting this video together on the day that Neil Sedaka died. So today's activity, the CST Song of the Day, is breaking up is hard to do. But also, I suggest that people have a sing-along with some of Neil Sedaka's best music. And I'll go through some of the others that I've made over the recent days in a moment. So my first CST Song of the Day was Lily the Pink by The Scaffold. And the reason for that choice is it was Pink Shirt Day, which is a day that helps stop bullying and encourages kindness. So Lily the Pink fitted in really well. So the song is by The Scaffold, and it was a big hit of theirs. And their other big hit was Thank You Very Much, 1967. So you could also play that to your group. And the songs are intended to be sing-along, and you can access lyric videos on YouTube very easily. Whereas I can't really do it here because I'll be making all sorts of copyright violations. So then for each CST Song of the Day, there's a cognitive stimulation question to help get people thinking and remembering. So here the question was, how many pink things can you list whilst listening to the song? And again, that's a bit of a fun challenge for people. My next CST Song of the Day was on National Tell a Fairy Tale Day on February the 26th, which celebrates the magic of storytelling. So my song of the day was Puff the Magic Dragon by Peter, Paul and Mary. Now the idea in choosing these songs is that they'll be retained in long-term memory, and people will often remember the lyrics, but they'll especially remember the tune and the rhythm. And it can really help people feel good about themselves if they can bring that to mind from all those years ago. It can give a real sense of achievement. Now the question to go with the song is, once upon a time, how many fairy tales can you name? So again, it's about having a think and listing those fairy tales that we learned from our childhood, maybe, or those that were made into movies, perhaps, or those that we told our children and grandchildren. The next day was another change of pace, which means that this website can provide a lot of variety and something different and new every day, which I love. So it was International Polar Bear Day yesterday. So there's a few questions or facts about polar bears there listed, and a few talking points provided. Like, have you ever seen a polar bear in the zoo or in the wild? Are they cuddly creatures or are they ferocious animals? The song of the day to go with it was Northern Lights by Renaissance, because of course the Aurora Borealis can commonly be seen in the Arctic Circle where polar bears live. And also, if you remember, there was this Coca-Cola advert which featured polar bears in deck chairs with sunglasses on looking up at the aurora. So after the song is finished, we asked people to list some other Arctic animals, and here's a few of them pictured here. There aren't that many of them, but hopefully the slides that I provide within my blog will help people with bringing those names of animals forward and support their guesses. And then there's some questions to support discussion. Have you been to the Arctic Circle? Would you like to go? Have you seen the Aurora Borealis? Have you been on a sled pulled by reindeer or huskies? Would you like to live in Tromsø, the most northerly city, where for 49 to 61 days people live in polar night, essentially darkness? Here's my CST Song of the Day for today. As I said, Neil Sedaka died last night, so breaking up is hard to do. And then I've provided a graphic of a young Neil Sedaka in Brooklyn, where he grew up and still lived, with a list of all of his most famous and popular songs and hits. So again, this would lead the group, hopefully, to have a Neil Sedaka sing-along. And again, all of those will be held in long-term memory, hopefully. Now, tomorrow's CST Song of the Day is, of course, The Green Green Grass of Home by Tom Jones, because it's the 1st of March and it's St. David's Day. Now, I've done an extensive St. David's Day CST activity session, which is available as an outline on my blog, but also I've made a video for it, if you haven't seen that yet, on YouTube. But as I said before, the CST Song of the Day provides a short form CST activity. So play the song, maybe list as many Welsh things as you can, talk about Wales as a country, the people, the language, the food and drink, the flag, who's been there, who hasn't, who would like to, and so on and so forth. And then maybe focus in on any Welsh tourist attractions that people have been to or would like to go to. And there's a few pictured there. And then you could ask your group, can you think of any famous Welsh people? And again, there are a few pictured there. And finally, you could ask the group to think of some other Welsh songs, or songs sung by Welsh people. And that could include Welsh language songs, especially if you're watching from a place in Wales. So you get the idea. A CST Song of the Day, a different song every day throughout the year that you can use as a off-the-shelf, short-form CST activity for individuals and groups with dementia to enjoy. So here are the web addresses. My main blog is www.simondementia.co.uk, and I'm going to keep that going certainly with new activities every week. My new blog is www.cstsongoftheday.co.uk, which is what I've just been talking about. And also we've got my YouTube channel, which you're watching now. And if you are enjoying my work and liking it, you can give me a thumbs up and subscribe. You can also buy me a cup of coffee, which will help to cover costs, which are, not minimal. Let's put it that way. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.